The goal is to understand how the brain impacts our lives. You know, every 40 seconds, that's how often someone here in the United States has a stroke. Stroke is just one cognitive disorder. Others include ADHD, autism, depression, Alzheimer's, dyslexia, and more. Next week, more than 30 top neuroscientists and educators are coming together. They'll be holding a symposium on the latest research on cognitive disorders. Now, joining me now are neurosurgeon Dr. Benjamin Brown. He's with the Mayo Clinic. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
As well as Myron Pincombe with the International Board of Credentialing and Continuing Education Standards. Good morning. Thank you both for being here. Do appreciate it. Let me start with you, Myron, if I can. You felt that this was an important thing to bring to Jacksonville in particular. We just named a number of different cognitive disorders. For somebody sitting at home, who is this symposium for? Who should attend?
That's a good question. So we really have two tracks. We have one for healthcare professionals and one for educators. If you're on the healthcare side, it'd be anywhere from a physician to a licensed speech pathologist, occupational therapist, or a nurse. On the education side, a special education teacher or a school administrator. But the latest research shows us that 94% of us will be affected by a cognitive disability or a disorder sometime in our lifetime. And sometimes that happens at the beginning of life in the schools with autism and ADHD. And in the other end of life, we have Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, and those conditions that come up. So it's something that affects all of us.
Well, and it's interesting, too, because I think that we all assume that busy doctors, for example, have time to read up on the latest and greatest. This is an opportunity for them to basically come together over 2 days and learn what that is instead of having to do that research perhaps on their own, and as if you're not busy enough.
Exactly. And it's a TED-style event, so it's very high energy. You know, every 25 minutes is a new speaker, very engaging. We'll also have it simulcast around the world, so we have an international audience for this event.
So, Dr. Brown, let me bring you into the fold here because we thought in looking at this and preparing for this segment, stroke does affect, as you obviously know, so many people. This would be a good opportunity to educate our viewers about stroke. And let's just kind of give them the ABCs if we can, beginning with what a stroke is.
So a stroke at its most simplest form is a blockage of oxygen to the brain, and that can be caused by a blood vessel being blocked and blood can't get to a certain area of the brain, or it can be because a blood vessel breaks and leaks and causes bleeding inside the brain, and that causes irreversible damage to the brain.
Are there symptoms then?
Sure. A simple acronym is FAST. Okay, so face weakness, arm weakness, speech changes, and T means time is of the utmost importance. So you want to call 911, get medical care as soon as possible.
And we talk about that sometimes. Do you find that patients that you have treated who may be exhibiting the signs of stroke, that they maybe, you know, think that it's something else? Maybe it's the flu, or I haven't been feeling well, or maybe I didn't eat this morning, so as a result, that's why I have a terrible headache?
We see that commonly, you know, that patients will mistake, you know, symptoms for something other than stroke. It's better, we recommend err on the safe side. Get medical help as soon as possible because time is brain. Stroke.
Oh, and that's important, you know, because if you think about any of us have probably been affected by someone in our family or a friend who's had a stroke, and you can see it can be debilitating, if not deadly. What are some treatment options then for those who have had stroke?
So the treatments all depend on time. So the most well-known treatment is one that was approved in 1996 called TPA, and it's a clot-busting medication that's given the vein, and that breaks up a clot that's in the brain. That has to be given within 3 to 4.5 hours of the onset of the symptoms of stroke. There's a newer technology that was approved or published in 2015 where we go up with an actual device into the brain and snare the clot and pull it out.
See, we just saw an image of that, in fact. And is that usually highly effective?
It's much more effective than the clot-busting medication when you have a large blockage in the brain. So it's drastically affected stroke outcomes, but it's also very time-dependent. Generally, 6 hours is thought to be the time frame for using that technology. So.
Now, we're going to give the information about the symposium, but very quickly, if you are a healthcare professional, for example, you can receive credits for attending this symposium, correct? Is that right?
Yeah, continuing education credits are issued for all the healthcare providers. They come and, and they can register online. You know, there's a handful of tickets left. We're almost sold out, but they can go online and register, and and join us on
I'm going to
Monday.
give everybody that information. Is there a deadline by which they need to register?
Registration closes, I think it's midnight on Saturday.
Okay.
But yeah, the event starts on Monday morning.
Okay, perfect. Thank you both, gentlemen, for being here. Doctor, appreciate it.
Pleasure.
The symposium is next Monday and Tuesday. It will be held at the World Golf Village Conference Center in St. Augustine. Registration, as you just heard, in fact, from Myron, it's $525. The symposium will also be live streamed. To register and to learn more, you can go to ibcces.org. We know you don't have a pen right now, so we're going to make it easy for you. We will put a link on our website, news4jax.com. Just look under the morning show page. We'll be right back.